Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My name is Sam Martin Burr, and welcome back to the Qur'an with Sam series. In this series, we're doing a walkthrough of the Surah of Muhammad. And we're doing kind of a word-by-word sort of breakdown. This is not a tafsir. This is not me sort of inventing my own tafsir. It's all sort of in line with recognized translations of the Qur'an. But we're using it as an opportunity to bring out our knowledge of vocab and our grammar and use this as a way of demonstrating that stuff. So inshallah, it's of lots of benefit to the students out there. Firstly, bonus resources are available on Patreon as always. Secondly, I'd like to apologize as well that we maybe took a week off. I was occupied with other sort of Arabic teacher stuff. But without further ado, let's begin inshallah. So in this particular lesson, we're still doing ayah number 4. I know it seems a bit out of sync because we're lesson number 5, but still ayah number 4. But in the lesson following this, we're going to do 2 ayat in one lesson. So we'll be back in sync again. It'll be ayah number 6 with lesson number 6, inshallah. So that'll make things look nice and synced up again. So we'll look to do 10 whole episodes, which cover 10 whole ayat, right? But that's what we'll have probably by the end of this month, or maybe early November, inshallah. So let's get into it. So where we came down to was we started reading through this ayah and we got down to حتى تضع الحرب أوزارها. So until the weapons are laid down, right? Or until the fighting ceases. It's kind of where we got to. If you haven't caught up with the previous lessons, obviously it's a good idea to go back to lesson 1. This is all nicely organised in a playlist for you, so you can do that. So we're going to carry on from ذَلِكَ وَلَوْ يَشَاء. So the Arabic of this line that we're going to cover now doesn't align very well with English expression. So sometimes when I lay it out in like a crude English translation, it'll sound really odd, but sometimes that's just something that we deal with. So this particular bit that we're dealing with today begins with ذَلِكَ. Sometimes ذَلِكَ is used in Arabic to mean that's the way, and then you carry on with something else. Right, like it's kind of a way of starting a sentence by reminding you of what's just been said, right? Like Arabic kind of works like that with ذَلِكَ sometimes. But what it literally means is that, you know, it's a word that many students know because it's at the beginning of Surat Al-Baqarah, where Allah says about the Qur'an, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. That is the book in which there is no doubt. Good, so ذَلِكَ. وَلَوْ يَشَاءُ اللَّهُ لَانْتَصَرَ مِنْهُمْ. Okay, really nice. وَلَوْ يَشَاء is and if. لَوْ means if, but there's 2 kinds of if in Arabic. There's one that's sort of hypothetical, like the event's already happened, but if this had been another way, then this could have happened, right? And that's what we use لَوْ for. There's another way in, which is usually if for things that can really happen. Like if you listen to this video, then you will understand this ayah, inshallah. Right, like that's something that actually can happen. But an example of low would be something like, you know, if only you'd watched those previous videos, then you'd already know this by now, or something like that. Like it's not something that can happen. Good. Okay. So and if yasha Allahu, and if Allah wills, to do what? Lan tasara minhum, to intasara. To do the verb intasara. Intasara literally means to win. It does come from the root. Nasara, I believe. It's a form 8 verb from the verb nasara, which means to help. But the nasr can mean the victory as well. And often a translation often given for nasr means victory, which kind of lines up with how intasara is to sort of win. But the translator actually gives here the word defeated them. Lantasara minhum, to win from them or to defeat them. So what do we have so far? We have that, and then sort of in brackets the translator puts is the way. So let's say like that is the way. Allah could have had victory over them. Like Allah could have beaten them himself, right? Good. ولكن, but لِيَبَلُوَ بَعْضَكُمْ بِبَعْض. So لِيَبَلُوَكُمْ just means that the li is to. يَبَلُوَكُمْ, to test you. بَعْضَكُمْ بِبَعْض, with each other. بَعْضَكُمْ بِبَعْض literally translates to like some of you by some. But what it really means is each other, right? So we're saying that if Allah had wished, He could have defeated them Himself. But rather he didn't, in brackets, so that he could test you by one another, right? لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ بَعْضَكُمْ بِبَعْضٍ. Good. And then we sort of have a pause there as well. You see a little symbol above that where there's a little pause. وَالَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا, and those who were قُتِلُوا. The verb قَتَلَ means to kill. قُتِلُوا means were killed. And those who were killed فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, in the path of Allah, in the way of Allah, in the cause of Allah. Let's see what the translators put. In his cause, they put the word cause. Okay, nice. I mean, I always have this conversation with one of my students about what sabil really means, because Arabic has lots of these different ways to mean like a path or a way for something, like tariq and shari' and sabil and, you know, a few others as well. But sabil, it doesn't mean like, you know, you don't walk down the sabil, or you don't like walk, you know, you don't walk down a sabil necessarily, right? Like it's a cause, it's a path of something. Like sabilillah, it doesn't mean that Allah owns a particular street, right? It's in the cause of Allah, in Allah's path. So those who were killed in Allah's path, i.e., people who were fighting for the sake of Allah, فَلَن يُضِلَّ أَعْمَالَهُم. So he will not cause to go astray their deeds, right? Or their actions. He won't make their actions come to nothing. Good. So the falan isn't one word, it's a fa, it's so, lan. Lan means won't. Adalla, which is what this verb yudilla comes from. Adalla means to make something go astray. Good. Why is it yudilla? Normally we would have adalla, yudillu. But why is it yudilla? It's because lan causes the verb that comes after it to be mansub. Or what that means for our purposes, it means has a fatha on the end most of the time. And your a'mal are the actions. So he will not cause their actions to go astray. Good. Or cause their actions to come to nothing, is what the translators put, which I think is a nice English rendition of what that really means. So let me kind of do like a crude word-for-word translation of it, and then I'll talk about what it actually means. So being very true to the Arabic word order, this is what it's like. That, and if only, Allah had wished to defeat from them, but in order to test you by one another. And those who were killed in Allah's cause, then Allah will not cause their actions to come to nothing. That's what it's literally saying, right? I'll read out what the translators put. So the translator, we're using Abdul Halim's translation still. So we have that, then in brackets, is the way. God could have defeated them himself if he had willed. But his purpose is to test some of you by means of others. He will not let the deeds of those who are killed for his cause come to nothing. So that's a nice English rendition of it, inshallah. So what do we have in Arabic? I'll run through it in the Arabic as well one more time so you guys can hear it all together. So what do we have? After أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم and بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ذلك ولو يشاء الله لانتصر منهم ولكن ليبلو بعضكم ببعض والذين قتلوا في سبيل الله فلن يضل أعمالهم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. So that's what we have for this lesson, inshallah. So in our next lesson, we will be actually doing 2 ayat. Because you'll notice the next 2 ayat are very short, so we can very easily do those in one lesson. So we'll swiftly move on, inshallah. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to like and share it. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well, because that goes a long way. So see you guys in lesson 6. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.